Poor children shouldn't touch real cars. The words echoed through the luxury showroom as a manager publicly humiliated a cleaning woman and her 3 boys. But what she didn't know, the new CEO was watching everything, and those children were his sons he never knew existed. What happens next will restore your faith in justice and family. Subscribe now and stay until the end to see how this mother's nightmare turns into the most beautiful redemption story. Comment what city you're watching from. Let's see how far this story travels. "Mommy, when will we have a daddy?" The question came from the back seat. Tanya Williams gripped the steering wheel tighter. Her 8-year-old son Caleb stared at her in the rearview mirror. Those amber eyes. God, those eyes. "You have me, baby. Isn't that enough?" "You're enough." Caleb's voice got smaller. "But other kids have daddies. Marcus at school said kids without dads are mistakes." Tanya's heart cracked. "Marcus is wrong." "Then where's ours?" Elijah leaned forward. "Yeah, Mom. Where is he?" Noah, the quiet one, spoke up. "Did he not want us? 3 boys, 3 questions, 1 truth she'd been avoiding for 8 years. Your daddy doesn't know you exist." Tanya pulled into the dealership parking lot. "Sometimes life is complicated. Sometimes people lose each other. But listen to me, all 3 of you. You are not mistakes. You are my greatest blessings. You hear me?" "Yes, Mom." But she could see it in their faces. The doubt, the hurt, the questions that would never stop coming. She checked her phone. 6:47 p.m. The babysitter had texted an hour ago, "Emergency. Can't make it. Sorry. No backup plan. No family nearby. No choice." "Okay, boys, listen carefully." Tanya turned around. "Mom has to work tonight. You're coming with me. But there are rules. Stay in the break room. Don't touch anything. Don't wander. Understand?" "We'll be good," Elijah promised. "We always are," Noah added. Caleb nodded. "Can we do homework?" "Homework is perfect." Tanya handed them their backpacks. "Mom will check on you every 30 minutes. There's snacks in my bag. If you need anything, you stay put and text me. Deal." "Deal." She led them inside through the employee entrance. Reynolds Premier Motors, Boston's most exclusive luxury car dealership. Chrome and glass and marble everywhere. The kind of place where every surface gleamed. The kind of place where people like her didn't belong. "Wow," Noah whispered. "It's so shiny." "Don't touch," Tanya reminded them. "Remember the rules." She settled them in the break room with juice boxes and granola bars. Elijah pulled out his math homework. Noah opened a library book. Caleb drew pictures of cars. "I'll be back in 30 minutes, Tanya said. "I love you." "Love you too, Mom." She closed the door and grabbed her cleaning cart. 2nd floor offices first, then the showroom floor, then the garage. 4 hours of work ahead. 4 hours of praying her boys would stay put, but hope and reality don't always match. Tanya was scrubbing the executive bathroom when she heard it. The scream, "Get your filthy hands off that car!" Ice flooded her veins. "No, please, no." She dropped her mop, ran. Her worn sneakers slapped against marble as she flew down the curved staircase. The showroom spread out below, crystal chandeliers, luxury vehicles, and there her 3 sons, hands pressed against a red Ferrari, eyes wide with wonder, and standing over them like a demon in designer heels, Brenda Harrington, general manager, the woman who'd made Tanya's life hell for 6 months. "I asked you a question." Brenda's voice could shatter glass. "What are you doing?" Tanya hit the showroom floor running. "Ms. Harrington, I'm so sorry." "Sorry." Brenda whirled on her. "You brought children here to a luxury dealership." "My babysitter canceled. I had no choice." "There's always a choice." Brenda pointed at the boys. "And you chose to bring 3 unsupervised street kids to touch inventory worth more than you'll make in a lifetime. We're not street kids." Elijah's voice shook. "Our mom works here. We were just looking." "I don't care what you were doing." Brenda's face went red. "This isn't a museum for poor children." Noah started crying. Caleb grabbed his brother's hand. Tanya stepped between them and Brenda. "Please, they didn't mean any harm. They're just curious." "Curious." Brenda laughed. Cold. Sharp. "Let me educate you on something, Tanya. This is Reynolds Premier Motors. We have a reputation, standards. We cater to clients who can actually afford what we sell, not janitors and their charity cases." The words hit like fists. Marcus from sales stood near the Bentley display, his face carefully blank. Jennifer from finance watched from reception, her eyes full of pity. Everyone was watching. Everyone saw her shame. "Ms. Harrington, please." Tanya hated how small her voice sounded. "I promise this won't happen again. I'll take them to the car right now. You're right. It won't happen again. Brenda crossed her arms. Because you're fired. The world tilted. What? You heard me? Fired. Effective immediately. Collect your things and get out. Tanya's legs went weak. No, please. I have 3 children to feed. I need this job. Should have thought about that before you brought them here. Brenda turned to the gathering employees. Let this be a lesson. We have standards. Poor children shouldn't touch real cars. They might damage them. And God knows she can't afford to pay for repairs. Caleb was sobbing now. Noah held him. Elijah stood frozen. Fists clenched. They're just children, Tanya whispered. They didn't hurt anything. They don't belong here. Brenda pulled out her phone. Security, I need an escort. Employee entrance. 4 people, immediately. That won't be necessary. The voice came from the shadows near the executive offices. Deep, controlled, familiar in a way that made Tanya's world stop spinning. A man stepped into the light. Tall, charcoal suit, dark hair, strong jaw, and amber eyes that glowed under the chandeliers. Eyes Tanya knew. Eyes she'd dreamed about for 9 years. Eyes she saw every single day when she looked at her sons. Marco Reynolds. Time fractured. 9 years ago, one night, one moment that changed everything. Tanya adjusted her black server's uniform. The charity gala was in full swing. Rich people everywhere. She was serving champagne to people who spent more on shoes than she made in a month. You look like you'd rather be anywhere else. She turned. A man stood there, mid-20s, devastating smile, kind eyes. I'm working, she said. You're here for fun. We see events differently. He laughed, keyed. I'm Marco, and trust me, I'd rather be anywhere else too. Tanya, and if you hate it here, why come? Family obligation. My father owns half of Boston. I'm supposed to network. He made a face. What's your excuse? Paying for college. I'm studying business at Commonwealth. What year? Junior? Barely. I work 3 jobs. Sleep is optional. He looked at her like she'd said something profound. That's incredible. It's survival. No. Marco stepped closer. It's strength. Most people here inherited everything. You're building something from nothing. That's rare. She'd fallen a little in love right then. They talked for hours. He found excuses to stay near the catering station. She found reasons to refill his champagne. When the gala ended, he walked her to her car. Can I see you again, Plum? He asked. I work 80 hours a week. I don't have time for... He kissed her. Soft. Sweet. Perfect. Make time, he whispered. She did. One night. His apartment. They talked until dawn. About dreams, fears, the future, and then he was gone. Transferred to London. No warning. No goodbye. No way to reach him. And she was pregnant. Now he stood there, 10 feet away, looking at her boys with something like recognition dawning in his eyes. Mr. Reynolds? Brenda's voice went from razor to honey. I didn't realize you were here. I was just handling a security situation. A security situation, Marco walked forward slowly, each step deliberate. These children are a security threat. They were touching the Ferrari, sir, unsupervised. The janitor brought them. The janitor has a name. Marco's voice dropped. Dangerous. What is it? Tanya Williams, sir, but that's not the point. Ms. Williams. Marco looked at her. Really looked. And Tanya watched recognition hit him like lightning. Tanya. She couldn't breathe. You two know each other. Brenda's voice sharpened with suspicion. Marco ignored her. He moved closer to the boys. His hands trembled slightly as he knelt to their level. The showroom had gone silent. Every employee watching, every customer frozen. Hi there, Marco said softly. What are your names? Elijah wiped his tears. I'm Elijah. That's Noah. That's Caleb. We're triplets. Triplets? The word barely made it out of Marco's mouth. He looked up at Tanya. How old? 8. Her voice cracked. They just turned 8. Marco did the math. She could see it happening behind his eyes. 9 years since that night. 9 months of pregnancy. 8 years of life. His face went pale. He stood slowly. When he turned to Brenda, his expression had transformed into something cold and final. You're fired. Brenda blinked. Excuse me. You're fired. 10 minutes to clear your desk. Security will escort you out. You can't be serious, Mr. Reynolds. I was protecting company assets. You were humiliating a woman and 3 children for the crime of being curious. Marco's voice cut like steel. You called them poor, called them street kids, said they don't belong here, made a mother beg while her children cried. But the Ferrari is a car. Metal and leather. It can be cleaned, repaired, replaced. Marco stepped closer. But what you did to these children, the shame you made them feel, that damage lasts. So yes, Brenda, I'm completely serious. You're done. Brenda's face cycled through colors, white, red, purple. This is about her, isn't it? This is personal. The board will hear. The board works for me. I own 70% of this company. Marco pulled out his phone. And if you say one more word to Ms. Williams or her children, I'll make sure you never work in this city again. Are we clear? Brenda's mouth opened. Closed. She turned on her designer heel and stalked away. The showroom stayed silent. Marco looked at the boys again, then at Tanya. Can we talk privately? Tanya nodded. Couldn't speak? Couldn't process. He led them to a glass-walled conference room, closed the door carefully, turned around, and just stared at the boys. They're mine. Not a question, a statement. Yes. Why didn't you tell me? The question she'd been dreading for 8 years. I tried. Tanya's voice shook. For months. Your phone disconnected. Your apartment you had moved. Your office said you transferred to London. No forwarding information. No way to reach you. London. Marco's jaw clenched. My father sent me to run the UK division. Said it would build character. I was there for 6 years. I know, I kept trying, but you were Marco Reynolds' future billionaire, and I was just me, a girl from community college working 3 jobs. Tears burned her eyes. After a while, I stopped. Figured you'd moved on. That maybe you wouldn't want to know. Wouldn't want to know? Marco's voice broke. Tanya, I looked for you too, when I got back. Your dorm, you'd graduated, your phone disconnected. I thought you'd moved on, that our night didn't mean what I thought it meant. It meant everything. The words came out as a whisper. It gave me them. Marco looked at the triplets. They'd been watching like it was a movie, eyes moving back and forth. Elijah spoke first. Are you our dad? The question hung in the air like glass about to shatter. Marco's eyes filled. Yeah, buddy, I think I am. Why don't you live with us? Noah asked. Because I didn't know about you. Marco knelt down again. But I know now, and I want, if your mom lets me, I want to be part of your lives. If you'll let me? Caleb walked right up to Marco, touched his face, studied those amber eyes. You have my eyes, Caleb whispered. Marco laughed. Tears spilled down his cheeks. No, buddy, you have mine. Caleb wrapped his arm around Marco's neck, held on tight. Noah joined. Then Elijah. 3 boys and their father. Tanya turned away, her own tears falling. She'd carried this secret for so long, protected it, protected them, because she couldn't risk them being rejected. But watching them now, Tanya... She turned. Marco had stood up, all 3 boys holding his hands. We have a lot to talk about, he said. I have 8 years to make up for, but right now you need to know something. He took a breath. You're not fired, you never were. Brenda had no authority. Okay. And you're not a janitor anymore. Tanya blinked. What? I'm promoting you, Director of Customer Relations, salary, benefits, normal hours. You'll be home with the boys. Marco, I can't. You have a business degree, right? I remember you studying. I never finished. I dropped out when I got pregnant. Then we'll finish it. Company will pay. Marco looked at her with those eyes, those damn amber eyes. I know I don't have the right to ask anything. I missed 8 years. But please, let me fix this. Let me be their father. Let me help. Tanya looked at her boys. They were smiling, really smiling, for the first time in so long. Okay, she whispered. The news spread like wildfire. By the time Tanya was supposed to clock out, Marco insisted she go home paid for a full shift. Everyone knew. The new CEO had secret sons. The janitor was being promoted. Brenda Harrington was fired. Marcus from sales stopped Tanya at the door. That was incredible, what you did, raising them alone. You're a warrior. Jennifer from finance handed her a card. My sister babysits. Reasonable rates. Call her. Tanya took the card with shaking hands. 8 hours ago, she'd been terrified of losing everything. Now her sons had a father. Now she had a career. Now everything was changing. But in the parking lot, buckling the boys into her beat-up Honda, reality crept back in. Marco walked her to the car. "Can I see them tomorrow?" "They have school." "After—" Tanya hesitated. "Marco, this is happening fast." "I know, but I missed their first steps, first words, first day of school, birthdays, Christmases, 8 years. His voice cracked. "I can't get that back, but I can be here now." The pain in his voice broke through her fear. "Saturday," she said. "Come for breakfast, 9 a.m. We'll talk." "Thank you." He pulled out his phone. "Your address." She rattled it off, watched his face change when she gave the building number. "The Riverside Complex near the highway." "Yes, defensive now. It's what I can afford. I'm not judging, but Tanya, that building has code violations, no heat, rats, broken elevators. There was an article. The rent is $500. Her voice rose. "Do you know how impossible it is to find anything for $500 in this city? I work hard. I provide. We have food, clothes, a roof. It's not fancy, but it's ours." "I know you work hard." Marco held up his hands. "I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying my sons are living without heat. That's not okay." "Your sons lived without you for 8 years. They survived." The words came out harsher than intended. Marco flinched. "You're right," he said quietly. "I'm sorry. I'm not trying to take over. I'm just processing. Give me time to figure out how to do this right." Tanya's anger drained. "We're both figuring it out. Saturday, 9 a.m. "I'll be there." She drove away, watched him shrink in the rearview mirror. This man who'd been her entire world for one night, who'd given her 3 perfect sons, who'd vanished and now reappeared. "Mom," Elijah's voice came from the back seat. "Is he really our dad?" "Yes, baby." "Is he going to stay?" Tanya's hands tightened on the wheel. "I don't know." "I hope he does," Noah said softly. "He seems nice." "He has our eyes," Caleb added. "That means he's really ours, right?" "Right, baby." But as she merged onto the highway, heading toward their apartment with its broken elevator and struggling heat, Tanya wondered what came next. Behind her, Marco sat in his Aston Martin and made a call. "Jack, I need every file we have on family law, child custody, paternity." "Yes, tonight." "Because I just found out I have 3 sons. I know it's complicated. Just send everything." He hung up, looked at the address in his phone, pulled up photos of the Riverside Complex online. Graffiti, broken windows, men loitering in stairwells. His sons lived there. His sons lived there because he hadn't been there. Marco made another call. "Richard, those executive apartments we built on the waterfront, I need one. 3 bedrooms. Not for me. For someone who needs it. I'll explain Monday." He drove toward his penthouse. Made a decision. He'd missed 8 years. He'd spend the rest of his life making up for it. What Marco didn't know, someone had been watching. Someone who didn't like change. Someone already planning revenge. In the parking garage, Brenda Harrington hadn't left. She'd watched everything from her car, recorded parts on her phone. Now she sat in the dark and made a call. "Richard Westfield, it's Brenda Harrington. We need to talk. I just got fired because Marco Reynolds has 3 illegitimate children with the janitor. Yes, I'm serious, and he's promoting her. Director position, full benefits. I know right scandal waiting to happen. So here's what I'm thinking. Richard Westfield, board member, Marco's biggest critic, the man who'd wanted the CEO position for himself." "Go on," Richard said. "I'm listening." "What if we make this public, paint it as favoritism, abuse of power? CEO gives cushy job to baby mama. Shareholders won't like it." "They won't," Richard agreed. "But we need proof, evidence, a story. I have recordings, photos, employee testimonies." "Good, very good." Richard's voice went cold. "Let's destroy Marco Reynolds. And his little janitor family." Brenda smiled in the dark. "When do we start?" "Monday. I'll call an emergency board meeting. You leak the story to the press. By Tuesday, Marco will be fighting for his reputation. And the woman, collateral damage. She'll lose the job. Probably lose custody when we're done. Child Services loves a good scandal." "Perfect." They hung up. Brenda started her car, drove away into the Boston night, and in her apartment with the broken elevator, Tanya Williams tucked her 3 sons into their shared bedroom, kissed each forehead, whispered, "I love you." "Love you too, Mom," they chorused. She stood in the doorway, watched them drift off to sleep. These 3 perfect boys who'd saved her life, who'd given her purpose, who deserved so much more than she could give. In the bathroom, Tanya finally let herself break. Not sad tears, not happy tears. Relief. Pure crushing 8 years of drowning relief. She sobbed silently into her hands, shoulders shaking. Because women like her didn't get to fall apart, not until everything was safe. Not until she knew her boys would be okay. And now maybe they would be. She looked at herself in the cracked mirror. 30 years old, looking 40, exhausted, underpaid, undervalued, but a fighter. "You raised 3 good boys alone," she whispered to her reflection. "You worked 3 jobs, you survived. Nobody can take that from you. Not Brenda, not Marco, nobody." She wiped her face, straightened her shoulders, walked to the kitchen, and found an envelope slipped under her door. Her name on the front, expensive paper, heavy stock. Inside a check, made out to Tanya Williams, signed by Marco Reynolds, amount $50,000, and a note in handwriting she remembered from 9 years ago. "For everything I missed, for every birthday, every Christmas, every scared night, every doctor visit, every meal, every sacrifice. This doesn't fix 8 years, but it's a start. You shouldn't have done it alone. I'm sorry I wasn't there. I'm here now." Tanya's hands shook. $50,000. More money than she'd made in 3 years combined. She could pay off debt, fix the car, buy the boys new clothes, move to a better apartment, or she could be proud, refuse it, prove she didn't need his money, but pride didn't feed children, pride didn't pay rent. And Marco wasn't offering charity. He was offering what she'd earned, what she'd deserved all along. Tanya folded the check carefully, put it in her wallet. Tomorrow she'd deposit it. Start fresh. Give her boys the life they deserved. Because that's what mothers do. They survive, they sacrifice, they win, even when the whole world says they shouldn't. Even when people say poor children shouldn't touch real cars. Even when they say women like her don't belong in places like that. Even when they say she can't do it alone. She'd proven them all wrong, and she'd keep proving them wrong. Because Tanya Williams was done apologizing for being poor. Done apologizing for being a single mother. Done apologizing for existing. Her sons had a father now. She had a career now. They had a future now. But in a mansion across town, Richard Westfield was making plans. And come Monday morning, the war would begin. The real question wasn't whether Tanya could survive. It was whether Marco Reynolds was ready to fight for the family he never knew he had. And whether 3 8-year-old boys could teach a billionaire what it really means to be rich. Saturday morning came too fast. Tanya woke at 6 even though she'd barely slept. The check sat on her nightstand. $50,000. Real. Not a dream. She made pancakes. The boys loved pancakes, but her hands shook as she poured the batter. Marco was coming, in 3 hours, to their apartment, to see the life she'd built without him. "Mom, you're burning them." Elijah appeared in the doorway. "Already dressed? Hair combed? Are you nervous?" "A little?" "Me too." He sat at their tiny kitchen table. "What if he doesn't like us?" "He already loves you. I saw it in his eyes." "But what if he changes his mind? What if he decides we're too much work?" Tanya flipped the pancakes. "Baby, listen to me. Your father missed 8 years. He's not walking away now." "How do you know?" "Because he's a good man. I knew that 9 years ago. I know it now." Noah shuffled in, rubbing his eyes. "Is today the day?" "Today's the day." Caleb appeared last, carrying a drawing. "I made this for him. Do you think he'll like it?" Tanya looked at the picture. 3 stick figures and 1 tall figure, all holding hands, hearts everywhere. "He'll love it, baby." At 8:30, she changed clothes 3 times. Nothing looked right. Everything felt wrong. Finally, she settled on jeans and a simple blue sweater, the nicest thing she owned. The boys sat on the couch, waiting, watching the door. At 8:45, someone knocked. All 3 boys jumped up. Tanya's heart hammered. She opened the door. Marco stood there holding flowers and 3 wrapped boxes. His eyes were red like he hadn't slept either. "Hi," he said. "Hi." They stared at each other. 9 years of words stuck between them. "Dad?" Caleb broke the silence, launched himself at Marco. Marco caught him, held on tight, his eyes squeezed shut. "Hey, buddy." Elijah and Noah crowded in, 3 boys hugging their father in a cramped doorway. Tanya stepped back. Let them have the moment. When Marco finally looked up, tears streaked his face. Sorry, I promised myself I wouldn't cry. It's okay, Elijah said seriously. Mom cries sometimes too. She says it's because she loves us so much. That's exactly why I'm crying. Marco wiped his face, handed the flowers to Tanya. These are for you, and these, he held up the boxes, are for my boys, if that's okay. That's okay. The boys tore into the presents. Elijah got a science kit. Noah got a book set. Caleb got an art supply box. How did you know what we like? Noah asked, eyes wide. Marco smiled. I asked your mom, last night. I texted her about 1,000 questions. It was true. Tanya's phone had buzzed non-stop. Questions about allergies, favorite colors, hobbies, foods, everything. Can we show you our room? Caleb grabbed Marco's hand. I'd love that. Tanya watched them disappear down the hallway, heard their excited voices, explaining where they slept, what toys they had, every detail of their small world. She put the flowers in water, set the table, tried to breathe. When they came back, Marco's face had changed, something harder in his eyes. They share one bedroom, he said quietly. One room, 3 boys. It's all I can afford. I'm not criticizing, I'm just... He stopped. Started again. Tanya, I'm sorry. For all of it. For leaving. For not being reachable. For not knowing. For every single thing you had to do alone. You didn't know. That doesn't make it okay. Marco sat at her kitchen table. The boys climbed into chairs around him. I should have tried harder to find you. Should have left better contact information. Should have... Stop. Tanya put pancakes on plates. We can't change the past. We can only fix the future. Then let me fix it, please. You gave me $50,000. That's a pretty good start. Marco shook his head. That's not fixing it. That's just money. I want to be their father, really be their father, not just a check every month. What does that mean? It means I want to take them to school, help with homework, come to parent-teacher conferences, be there for soccer games and school plays and everything I missed. Marco looked at each boy. If you'll let me, if you want that. We want that, Elijah said immediately. Definitely. Noah agreed. Caleb nodded so hard his whole body moved. Tanya poured syrup. They have school Monday through Friday, 8 to 3. I work 9 to 5 now, apparently, so mornings and evenings are family time. What about weekends? What about them? Can I have them, not take them away? Marco added quickly. Just spend time. Get to know them. Maybe take them places, if you're comfortable. Tanya sat down. Marco, you're their father. You don't need my permission for every little thing. Yes, I do. You raised them. You're their mother. You call the shots. We call the shots together. That's how this works. Something passed between them. Understanding, agreement, partnership. Okay, Marco said. Together. They ate pancakes. The boys talked nonstop, telling Marco everything. About school, friends, teachers they liked and didn't like, their favorite foods, favorite movies, everything 8-year-olds think is important. Marco listened like every word mattered, asked questions, laughed at their jokes, looked at Caleb's drawings, quizzed Elijah on science facts, discussed books with Noah. He was good at this, natural, like he'd been doing it forever. And watching him, Tanya felt something crack open in her chest. Something that had been closed for 9 years. Not love. Not yet. But possibility. After breakfast, Marco helped clean up. The boys played in their room. They're incredible, he said, washing dishes. You did an amazing job. I did my best. Your best created 3 kind, smart, happy kids. That's more than amazing. That's miraculous. Tanya dried a plate. They ask about you sometimes, about their dad. I never knew what to say. What did you tell them? That their father didn't know they existed, that sometimes people lose each other, that it wasn't their fault. She set the plate down. I never said anything bad about you, even when I was angry, even when I was scared, because they deserve to love you without my baggage getting in the way. Marco stopped washing, turned to face her. I don't deserve you. You don't have me, you have them. Can I try for you too? The question hung between them. Tanya looked at this man, this stranger who wasn't a stranger, this father who'd missed everything, this person who'd given her the best parts of her life without knowing it. Let's just focus on the boys for now, she said carefully. Everything else is too complicated. Marco nodded. Disappointment flickered in his eyes, but he didn't push. Okay, just the boys. They finished dishes in silence. Then Marco spent 3 hours playing with his sons. Board games, drawing, building elaborate towers from blocks. Normal dad stuff. Stuff Tanya had watched other fathers do in parks and wished her boys could have. Now they had it. Now they had him. At noon, Marco's phone rang. He glanced at the screen, frowned. I have to take this. Work thing. 2 minutes. He stepped into the hallway. Tanya heard his voice through the door, calm at first, then sharp, then angry. He came back inside, face tight. Everything okay? She asked. Board meeting Monday morning. Emergency session. They're questioning my leadership decisions. What decisions? Marco looked at the boys, lowered his voice. Your promotion. They're calling it favoritism. Already, we just found out 2 days ago. Someone talked. Someone leaked it. Marco ran a hand through his hair. I need to handle this, but I don't want it affecting you or the boys. How would it affect us? Bad publicity, media attention, questions about our relationship, about why I promoted you. He met her eyes. They'll try to make it look inappropriate, like I'm giving jobs to women I'm sleeping with. But we're not. I know, but that won't stop them from implying it. Tanya's stomach dropped. Can they fire me? No, I own the company, but they can make your life difficult, make you want to quit. Marco's jaw clenched. I won't let that happen. Who leaked it? Probably Brenda. Maybe someone else. Doesn't matter. I'll handle it Monday. But Sunday morning, everything exploded. Tanya woke to 17 missed calls. Dozens of texts. Her phone buzzed nonstop. She opened social media, saw her name, her face, photos from the dealership security cameras. The headline made her blood freeze. CEO's secret baby, mama gets cushy job is this abuse of power. The article was brutal, detailed, cruel. It painted Tanya as a gold digger. Said she'd trapped Marco with a pregnancy. Said she'd hidden his children for years and only revealed them when he became wealthy enough. It called her a janitor who seduced her boss. Said the promotion was payment for services rendered. Implied their relationship was ongoing and inappropriate. And the comments. God, the comments. Typical poor woman baby-trapping a rich man. She probably got pregnant on purpose. 3 kids, that's a meal ticket for life. Those children should be taken away. She's clearly unfit. Tanya's hands shook so hard she dropped her phone. Tears blurred her vision. This couldn't be happening. Not after everything. Not when things were finally getting better. Her phone rang. Marco. Don't read it, he said immediately. Whatever you do, don't read the comments. Too late. Tanya, I'm so sorry. I'm getting lawyers involved. We'll sue for defamation. They took pictures of my kids, Marco. There are photos of my children online, with their faces, their names. I know. I'm handling it. I'm getting everything taken down. You can't take down the internet. Her voice rose. The boys appeared in the doorway. Worried faces. You can't undo this. Everyone knows now. Everyone at their school. Their teachers, other parents. Everyone. Mom? Elijah's voice was small. What's wrong? Tanya forced herself to breathe. Nothing, baby. Go back to bed. Is it about Dad? She couldn't answer, couldn't speak. Marco's voice came through the phone. Put me on speaker. Let me talk to them. Tanya hit the button, set the phone on the counter. Boys, Marco's voice filled the kitchen. I need you to listen carefully. Some people are saying mean things about your mom, about me, about our family, but none of it is true. Okay, your mom is the strongest, bravest, most amazing person I've ever met. She raised you alone, worked 3 jobs, never complained, never quit. She's a hero, and anyone who says different is lying. Why are they lying? Noah asked. Because some people get angry when good things happen to good people. Some people want to tear others down, but we're not going to let them. We're going to stay strong, stay together, and show them that our family is real and true and nothing they say can break us. Caleb climbed into Tanya's lap. Don't cry, Mom. She hadn't realized she was crying. She held her youngest son close, breathed in his little boy smell, let his warmth ground her. I'm okay, baby. You're better than okay, Marco said. You're everything, and I'm coming over, right now. We're facing this together. He hung up. Tanya held her boys, all 3 of them piling onto her, hugging her, telling her it would be okay, and she believed them, had to believe them, because the alternative was unbearable. Marco arrived 20 minutes later, with his lawyer, a woman named Patricia Chen, sharp eyes, expensive suit, no-nonsense energy. Ms. Williams, Patricia said, shaking Tanya's hand. I've already filed cease and desist orders against 6 websites. I'm working on getting the photos removed. It's going to take time, but we'll handle this. Who did this? Tanya asked. Who leaked it? We have evidence pointing to Brenda Harrington. She's been in contact with Richard Westfield, board member. He's been trying to oust Marco for months. This is his ammunition. Marco paced the small living room. They're using my kids, using Tanya, to get to me. Unfortunately, yes. Patricia pulled out her tablet. But we have options. We can sue for defamation, file for harassment, get restraining orders. But Tanya, I need to warn you, this will get worse before it gets better. They'll dig into your past, your finances, your relationships, everything. Are you prepared for that? I don't have a past to dig into. I've been too busy raising children. Good, that helps. Patricia made notes. What about the boy's father? Any custody agreements, child support orders? No, he didn't know they existed until Friday night. Patricia looked at Marco, looked at Tanya. You're telling me you've been raising triplets alone for 8 years with no legal documentation, no paternity test, no formal acknowledgement, correct? We need to fix that, immediately. Paternity test, custody agreement, child support, everything legal and documented. Because if this goes to court, and it might, we need ironclad proof that Marco is their father and has every right to be in their lives. Court? Tanya's voice went weak. Why would we go to court? Patricia hesitated, looked at Marco. Tell her, he said. Someone called Child Protective Services, filed an anonymous complaint, said you're unfit, said you're using your children for financial gain, said they're living in unsafe conditions. The room tilted. Tanya gripped the counter. What, Shikum? CPS will investigate. They have to. It's standard procedure for any complaint involving minors. But my boys are fine. They're healthy, happy, fed, loved. I know, and the investigation will prove that. But until then, you need to be prepared. They'll come to your home, interview you, interview the boys, check living conditions. It's invasive, and it's unfair, but it's happening. Tanya couldn't breathe. Her vision tunneled. This was a nightmare. Had to be a nightmare. Marco was beside her, holding her steady. We're fighting this, all of it. You're not alone. They can't take my boys. Her voice broke. They can't. I've done everything right. Everything. They won't. I promise you they won't. Marco looked at Patricia. What do we need to do? First, paternity test. Today, if possible. Second, clean documentation of everything. Pay stubs, bank statements, medical records, school records, proof that these children are well cared for. Third, character witnesses, people who can testify to Tanya's fitness as a mother. I'll make the calls. Marco pulled out his phone. Patricia continued. Fourth, we need to address the living situation. I've seen the photos online. The building is... I know what the building is, Tanya said. Her voice went cold. It's what I can afford. It's $500 a month. It has running water and electricity most of the time. It's not perfect, but it's ours. I understand. But CPS will see those conditions and what judge me for being poor, punish my children because I can't afford luxury. No, but we need to be strategic. Marco owns properties, executive apartments sitting empty. You could move... No. Tanya's voice was steel. I'm not moving into his apartment. I'm not becoming dependent on him. That's exactly what they want. Proof that I'm a gold digger using him for money. Tanya, Marco started. No, I've survived 8 years on my own. I'll survive this too. Patricia closed her tablet. I respect your independence, but pride won't protect your children. If CPS deems your current living situation inadequate, they can remove the boys pending further investigation. Is that worth your pride? The words hit like bullets. Tanya looked at her sons, sitting on the couch, scared, confused, holding each other. Everything she'd done for 8 years. Every sacrifice. Every sleepless night. Every skipped meal so they could eat. Every prayer. Every tear. All of it could be taken away by strangers with clipboards and judgments. What do I need to do? She whispered. Accept help. Move somewhere safe. Let Marco be their father legally. Fight this together instead of alone. Patricia's voice softened. You're not giving up independence. You're accepting partnership. There's a difference. Tanya closed her eyes, fought against every instinct screaming at her to refuse, to protect her pride, to prove she didn't need anyone, but her boys needed her more than her pride did. Okay, she said. Okay. Monday morning, CPS arrived at 7:30. 2 women with badges and tired eyes. They walked through the apartment, took notes, asked questions, interviewed each boy separately. Tanya stood in the kitchen, watching strangers examine her life, judging every corner, every choice, every imperfection. When they finished with the boys, they called Tanya into the living room. "Ms. Williams, your children are clearly loved and well cared for. They're polite, healthy, and appropriately developed." Relief flooded through her. So we're okay. However, the building has significant code violations. We have concerns about the heating system, the electrical wiring, and reports of pest infestations. I keep our apartment clean. There are no pests in our unit. We understand, but building-wide issues create risk for all residents, including children. The lead caseworker, her badge said. Rodriguez pulled out paperwork. "We're not removing your children today, but we are opening a case file. We'll need to conduct follow-up visits, and we strongly recommend you consider alternative housing." "I'm working on it." "How long have you been working on it?" "Since yesterday, when strangers decided my poverty made me a bad mother." Rodriguez's expression softened. "Ms. Williams, I'm not your enemy. I'm here to ensure your children's safety, nothing more." "Then close the case. My children are safe." "I'll make that determination after 30 days of monitoring. Until then, we'll be checking in weekly." They left. Tanya closed the door, leaned against it, slid down to the floor. Weekly visits, 30 days of judgment, strangers watching her parent, waiting for her to fail. Her phone buzzed. "Marco." "How did it go?" "They're monitoring me, weekly visits for 30 days. Silence. Then, "Move into the waterfront apartment. Please, end this. That makes me look guilty, like I'm trading sex for housing. Who cares what it looks like? Your boys need stability, safety. Let me provide that." "No." "Tanya." "I said no, Marco. I'll figure it out." She hung up. Immediately felt guilty. He was trying to help, trying to be a father, trying to fix 8 years of absence in 8 days. But accepting his apartment felt like surrender, like proof that she couldn't do it alone, that she'd always needed him, that the cruel articles were right. The boys got ready for school. Tanya packed lunches, checked backpacks, kissed foreheads. "Mom?" Elijah hesitated at the door. "Are kids at school going to know about the articles?" "I don't know, baby." "What if they're mean?" "Then you hold your head high. You tell them your mom works hard and loves you, and that's all that matters." "Okay?" But she could see the fear in his eyes, the worry, the knowledge that being different, being poor, being from a broken home, being in the news made you a target. She walked them to the bus stop, watched them climb aboard, prayed they'd have a good day. Then she went to work, her new job, Director of Customer Relations. First day. The dealership staff stared, whispered. Some smiled, some didn't. Everyone had seen the articles. Everyone knew. Tanya kept her head high, walked to her new office, closed the door, and found a note on her desk, unsigned, typed. "You don't belong here. You never did. Save yourself the embarrassment and quit. You're making Marco look weak. You're making this company look cheap. Leave before we make you." Tanya crumpled the note, threw it away, sat at her desk, opened her computer, and got to work. Because quitting meant they won. Quitting meant proving every cruel word right. Quitting meant her boys would grow up thinking their mother gave up. She didn't get where she was by giving up. She got here by fighting, by surviving, by refusing to break no matter how hard life pushed. And she wasn't breaking now. At the emergency board meeting, Marco faced 12 hostile faces. Richard Westfield sat at the head of the table, smiling, confident. "Gentlemen," Richard began, "we're here to discuss serious concerns about our CEO's judgment, specifically his decision to promote a janitor with whom he shares 3 illegitimate children to a director-level position. This raises questions about favoritism, liability, and company integrity." Marco stood up slowly. Let the silence stretch. Let every board member feel the weight of what Richard had just implied. "Illegitimate." Marco's voice was quiet, dangerous. "You just called my 3 sons illegitimate." Richard shifted in his seat. "I meant no offense. I'm simply stating facts." "Facts?" "Here are facts. I didn't know those children existed until Friday night. I searched for their mother for months after I returned from London. She searched for me while pregnant. We both tried. We both failed. And she raised 3 incredible boys alone while I was building this company." Marco leaned forward. "So before you question my judgment, Richard, question your own. You just insulted 3 8-year-old children to score political points." "I'm questioning a promotion that looks suspicious." Suspicious. Marco pulled out his tablet. Tanya Williams has a business degree. 3 years of customer service experience. 6 months working at this dealership where she received perfect performance reviews. She's qualified. The only thing suspicious here is your timing. Another board member spoke up. Gerald Chen, 60 years old, usually reasonable. Marco, we understand your position, but you must see how this appears. The mother of your children gets a director position days after you discover they exist. The optics are problematic. The optics would be worse if I didn't promote her. That would be discrimination based on our personal relationship. She earned this position. Did she? Richard smiled, cold, calculating. Or did you feel guilty? Wanted to help her make up for lost time? Both. I felt guilty because I should, and yes, I wanted to help, but I also looked at her qualifications and realized she'd been wasting her potential cleaning floors. Marco stood, walked around the table, made eye contact with each board member. This company prides itself on finding talent, promoting from within. Tanya Williams is talented. She's hardworking. She's survived 8 years as a single mother working 3 jobs. If that doesn't demonstrate dedication and work ethic, nothing does. But the relationship, another member started. There is no relationship, not romantic. We share children. That's all. Marco's voice hardened. And if any of you have a problem with me being a father to my sons, say it now, because I'm not hiding them. I'm not apologizing for them. They're mine, and I'm proud of that. Silence. Richard broke it. No one's asking you to hide your children. We're asking you to reconsider a promotion that damages company credibility. Then I'll resign. The room exploded. Multiple voices talking at once. Gerald stood up. Marco, don't be rash. I'm not being rash. I'm being clear. You want me to choose between my company and my family, I choose my family. Every time. So either accept my decision about Tanya's promotion or find a new CEO. Choftown, you can't just resign, Richard sputtered. Your contract, my contract, has a clause for voluntary departure. I helped write it. Marco gathered his things. Meeting adjourned. You have 48 hours to decide if you want me to stay or go. I'll be with my sons. He walked out. Left 12 stunned faces behind him. In the hallway, his phone buzzed. Patricia. How'd it go? I quit? You what? I told them to accept Tanya's promotion or I walk. Marco, that's a $10 million company. I don't care. My sons are worth more. He pushed through the exit. Sunshine hit his face. What's the update on the CPS situation? Not good. They're pushing for a home evaluation. They want to see where the boys are living right now. And they found out about the anonymous complaint. It came from someone with detailed information about Tanya's finances, her address, her work schedule, everything. Brenda? We can't prove it yet, but yes, probably Brenda. Marco got in his car. Can we sue her? For what? Filing a complaint with CPS isn't illegal, even if it's malicious. We'd need proof of intentional harm. She leaked photos of children to the press. That's harm. Again, hard to prove. The photos came from dealership security cameras. Multiple people have access. Patricia paused. Marco, I know you want to fix this fast, but legal processes take time. Time my sons don't have. Time Tanya doesn't have. He drove to the elementary school, arrived at 2:30, waited in the parking lot, watched parents line up, watched kids pour out of doors, watched his 3 sons emerge holding hands. Their faces were wrong, tight, closed off. Marco got out of the car. Hey, boys. They ran to him. All 3, grabbed onto him like he was a life raft. What happened? He asked. Elijah spoke first. Everyone knows. Knows what? About you, about us, about Mom. There were pictures on phones. Kids were showing them at lunch. Noah's voice shook. They said Mom's a gold digger. They said we're not really your kids. They said you're just pretending because you feel sorry for us. Caleb was crying silently. Marco picked him up, held him close. Where's your mom? Marco asked. Work. We take the bus home usually. Not today. Today I'm taking you. Marco opened the car door, buckled them in. And tomorrow? And every day. Nobody talks about my boys. Nobody. He drove them to the dealership, parked in his reserved spot, marched them inside. Tanya was at her desk, on the phone, looking exhausted. She saw them through the glass and immediately hung up. What are you doing here? She came out of her office, knelt down to the boys' level. What's wrong? Kids at school were mean, Elijah said. Tanya's face went hard. What did they say? The boys told her. Every word, every cruel comment, every picture shown on phones, Every whisper in hallways. Tanya stood slowly. Her hands were shaking. Okay, we're handling this. How? Noah asked. How do we handle everyone knowing? We tell the truth. Tanya looked at Marco. Both of us, together, we tell our story, the real story, before anyone else can twist it. You want to go public? Marco asked. We already are public. We didn't choose it, but here we are. So let's control the narrative instead of letting them control it for us. Patricia appeared from around the corner. That's actually not a bad idea. A joint interview. Tell your side. Humanize the story. Make it about family instead of scandal. Who would interview us? Tanya asked. I have contacts. Local news, maybe national if we're lucky. You tell your story. Show the truth. Let people see you're just parents trying to do right by your kids. Marco looked at Tanya. It'll be invasive. They'll ask everything. Our history, the night we met, why we didn't stay in touch, all of it. I know, Tanya's voice was steady, but our boys are being bullied. CPS is investigating me. Your board wants you to fire me. We're already exposed. We might as well make it count. Okay, let's do it. Patricia made calls. By 4 o'clock, she had an interview scheduled. Wednesday morning. Local news station. Live broadcast. 1 hour. Tuesday, Tanya got another threatening note. This one on her car. Last warning. Quit, or we'll make sure you never work anywhere again. She brought it to Marco. He brought it to Patricia. Patricia brought it to the police. We can file a report, the officer said, but without proof of who left it, there's not much we can do. So she just has to live with threats, Marco demanded. Install security cameras, document everything. If it escalates, we can pursue harassment charges. That night, Marco couldn't sleep. He drove to Tanya's apartment, knocked at midnight. She opened the door in sweatpants and a faded t-shirt, hair in a messy bun, eyes tired, still beautiful. Marco, what's wrong? I can't protect you. What? He stepped inside. I can't protect you from the threats. Can't protect the boys from bullying. Can't stop CPS from investigating. Can't control what the media says. I have all this money and power, and I can't fix anything that matters. Tanya closed the door. You're doing everything you can. It's not enough. It's enough for them? She pointed toward the bedroom where the boys slept. You showed up. You claimed them. You're fighting for them. That's everything. Is it because from where I'm standing, my presence made their lives harder? They were fine before I showed up. Now they're targets. They were never fine, Marco. They were surviving. There's a difference. Tanya sat on the couch. Every day they asked about you. Every father-son event at school they missed. Every Father's Day. Every birthday when other kids talked about their dads. They weren't fine. They were aching for you. But at least they were safe. Safe isn't the same as whole. Tanya looked at him. Really looked. You want to know what Elijah told me last week? Before any of this happened, he said he wished he was never born because maybe then I wouldn't be so tired all the time. That's what safe looks like without you. Marco's throat closed. He said that 8-year-old children shouldn't feel guilty for existing. But mine did, because they watched me work myself to death and thought it was their fault. Tears spilled down Tanya's cheeks. You being here, even with all the drama and threats and chaos, they're happier now than they've ever been. Because they have a father who loves them, so don't you dare apologize for showing up. Marco crossed the room, sat beside her. I'm scared. Of what? Failing them, failing you, not being enough. Welcome to parenthood. That's the daily special. He laughed despite everything. How do you do this? Stay strong. I don't have a choice. They need me strong, so I'm strong. Simple as that. She wiped her face. But I'm terrified too. Every CPS visit, every mean article, every threat. I'm scared they'll take my boys away because I'm poor, and they'll decide that makes me unfit. That won't happen. You can't promise that. Then I'll make it happen. I'll buy a house, put it in your name. No strings. You'll have equity, security, proof you can provide. Marco. No, listen, I have the money. You need the security. This isn't charity. This isn't me trying to control you. This is me being their father. Fathers provide. Let me provide. Tanya was quiet for a long time. If you buy me a house, everyone will say I'm using you. Everyone already says that. Who cares? I care. My boys care. They're old enough to hear it, to understand. Then we'll explain. We'll tell them Daddy's helping because that's what families do. They'll understand. What if CPS says you're trying to buy influence, trying to make me dependent so you can take them? Marco hadn't thought of that. Would they? I don't know. Maybe. Probably. Tanya stood, paced. Everything feels like a trap. Accept help, I'm using you. Don't accept help, I'm unfit. Fight back, I'm difficult. Stay quiet, I'm admitting guilt. There's no right answer. Then we make our own answer. Wednesday, the interview. We tell the truth and let people judge however they're going to judge. What if the truth isn't enough? Then at least we tried, together. Tanya stopped pacing, looked at him. Why are you really here, Marco, at midnight, at my apartment? You could have called. He didn't answer right away. Couldn't. Because the truth was complicated, messy, terrifying. Because 9 years ago, I let you walk away. I moved to London and told myself it was one night. One perfect night, but nothing more. And then I spent 6 years thinking about you, wondering where you were, or will file. If you were happy, if you ever thought about me. Marco stood, and now I know. Now I know you were raising our children. Working yourself to exhaustion. Doing everything alone. And I can't stop thinking about all the nights you were scared, and I wasn't there. All the times you needed help, and I wasn't there. All the moments with our boys I missed, because I wasn't there. Marco, I'm not asking for a relationship. I know that's not what this is. I'm just asking to be here, now, for whatever time I have left. Tanya's eyes filled. What do you mean, whatever time you have left? The board might fire me. CPS might decide I'm part of the problem. You might decide this is too hard and ask me to leave. He stepped closer. I'm just saying I'll show up every day until someone tells me to stop. I won't tell you to stop. Promise? I promise. They stood there, inches apart. 9 years between them. 3 children binding them. A future uncertain. Marco left at 1 a.m. Drove home. Fell into bed. Dreamed of a different life where he'd never left. Where he'd been there from the beginning. Where his sons knew him as daddy from birth instead of learning it at 8 years old. Wednesday morning came too fast. The interview was at 9. Tanya dressed carefully. Black pants, white blouse. Simple. Professional. Nothing flashy. Marco picked her up at 8. The boys were at school. Patricia would watch the interview from the station. Everything was planned, rehearsed, ready. Except nothing could prepare them for walking into a TV studio and sitting under bright lights with cameras pointed at their faces. The interviewer was a woman named Sandra Martinez, 40-something, kind eyes, firm handshake. I appreciate you both doing this, Sandra said. I know it's not easy going public. We didn't have much choice, Tanya said. People were going to talk either way. Fair enough. We'll start with the basics, then dive deeper. Sound good? They nodded. Sat on a couch together, not touching, careful of boundaries. The cameras rolled. Sandra smiled at the audience. Today we have an exclusive interview with Marco Reynolds, CEO of Reynolds Premier Motors, and Tanya Williams, the woman at the center of a scandal that's rocked Boston's business community. Marco, let's start with you. When did you find out you had 3 sons? Friday night, 6 days ago, I was at the dealership late and witnessed my general manager humiliating Tanya and 3 children. When I looked at those boys, I saw myself. Same eyes, same face. I knew immediately. You'd never seen them before. Never. I didn't know they existed. Sandra turned to Tanya. Why didn't you tell him you were pregnant? Here it was, the question everyone wanted answered. Tanya took a breath. I tried, for months. Marco and I spent one night together 9 years ago. It was beautiful and real, and then he was gone. Transferred to London. I had no way to reach him. His phone was disconnected. His apartment was empty. I even went to his office, but they wouldn't help me. So you gave up? I was 21, pregnant, working 3 jobs to stay in college. I didn't have resources to hire investigators or lawyers. I did everything I could, and then I focused on survival. Tanya's voice stayed steady. I made a choice. Raise my children with love and stability, or spend my energy chasing a man who might not want them anyway. Did you ever consider not having the babies? Never, not once. The moment I knew they existed, they were mine. Sandra looked at Marco. How do you feel about missing 8 years of your children's lives? Devastated, angry at circumstances, angry at myself for not trying harder to find her. Grateful she raised them so well. Determined to make up for lost time. And the promotion director of customer relations. That happened right after you discovered you had children together. That's what's causing controversy. The promotion happened because Tanya is qualified, Marco said firmly. She has a business degree, customer service experience, perfect performance reviews. The timing looks suspicious, but the qualifications don't lie. Sandra pressed. But you must admit it appears like favoritism, like you're helping your children's mother out of guilt or obligation. I am helping her out of obligation. I'm obligated to help the mother of my children. Every father is, but I'm also recognizing talent that's been overlooked because of her job title. She was cleaning floors. She should have been managing teams. I corrected an injustice. Some say you're setting a dangerous precedent, that employees will expect special treatment if they have personal relationships with executives. Then those people don't understand what happened here, Tanya spoke up, her voice strong. I didn't ask for this job, didn't sleep with my boss to get ahead, didn't trap anyone with a pregnancy. I worked hard for 8 years, raised 3 boys alone, and yes, when their father discovered them, he helped. That's not scandal, that's family. Sandra leaned forward. You've received death threats, anonymous complaints to Child Protective Services, online harassment. What do you want to say to the people attacking you? Tanya looked directly at the camera. I want to say you don't know me. You don't know my story. You don't know how hard I fought to keep my boys fed and clothed and safe. You don't know the nights I cried because I couldn't afford both groceries and electric bills. You don't know what it's like to be poor and alone and terrified and still get up every morning and smile at your children because they deserve a mother who doesn't give up. Her voice cracked, but she pushed through. You don't know what it's like to love children so much you work yourself sick. To sacrifice everything so they can have something. Anything. You don't know. So judge me if you want. Call me names. Send the threats, but my boys know the truth. They know their mother loves them, and that's all that matters. The studio was silent. Sandra's eyes were wet. Marco, Sandra said, what do you want people to know about your sons? I want people to know they're incredible. Smart, kind, funny. They're polite and respectful, and they love their mother with everything they have. And I'm proud to be their father. I don't care what anyone says or thinks. Those boys are mine, and I'll protect them with my life. Sandra smiled. Well said. We'll be right back after this break. The cameras cut. Sandra leaned back. That was powerful. Really powerful. You're both naturals. We're just telling the truth, Tanya said. The truth sells. Trust me. They did 3 more segments, answered every question, told the whole story. By the time they finished, it was 11 a.m. Patricia met them outside the studio. That was perfect, absolutely perfect. You came across as genuine, sympathetic, real. What happens now? Tanya asked. Now we wait, see how the public responds, see if it changes anything. It changed everything. By noon, the interview had been shared 10,000 times. By 2 p.m., 50,000. By 5 p.m., it was trending nationally. Comments poured in. Most were supportive. This woman is a hero. Single mothers don't get enough credit. Marco Reynolds is a real man, standing by his family like that. Those boys are lucky to have both parents now. But some were still cruel. She's playing victim, classic manipulation. He's going to realize she's using him and dump her. Those kids are going to grow up entitled brats. Tanya tried not to read them. Failed. Marco called every hour to check on her. At 3 p.m., CPS showed up for their weekly visit, but this time they brought a supervisor. Ms. Williams, the supervisor said, I'm Diane Shaw. I've reviewed your case file. I've also watched your interview this morning. Tanya's stomach dropped. And I'm closing the case, effective immediately. What? The complaint against you was clearly malicious. Your children are well cared for. You have support now from their father. There's no reason to continue monitoring. Diane handed her paperwork. You're a good mother, Ms. Williams. Don't let anyone tell you different. Tanya couldn't speak, couldn't process. The case was closed. Her boys were safe. Thank you, she whispered. After they left, Tanya called Marco. They closed the case. They what? CPS, they closed it. We're free. Marco's laugh was pure relief. That's incredible. That's God. That's the best news. The interview worked. You worked. You were amazing. Tanya hung up, sat on her couch, let herself cry. Real tears this time. Not fear, not exhaustion, joy, pure overwhelming joy. At school pickup, the boys ran to her. Mom, everyone saw you on TV. They did? Mrs. Patterson played it in class. She said you were brave. Elijah's eyes shone. She said you're a role model. Some kids apologized, Noah added. For being mean. They said they didn't know the real story. Caleb hugged her waist. You made everyone understand. That night, Marco came for dinner, brought pizza. They ate on the living room floor. The boys talked nonstop about their day, about how different everyone acted after seeing the interview. I think things might get better now, Elijah said. I think you're right, Marco agreed. After dinner, after the boys were in bed, Marco and Tanya stood in the small kitchen washing dishes. Thank you, she said, for everything, for fighting for them, for me, for us. There's no us, Tom, Marco said carefully. You made that clear. I know, but maybe... She stopped, started again. Maybe someday there could be, if you're patient, if you're willing to wait. Marco turned off the water, faced her. I'd wait forever. Don't say that. You don't know what forever means when you have kids. It's chaos, it's hard, it's... He kissed her, soft, sweet, just like 9 years ago. When he pulled back, Tanya's eyes were closed. That's not fair. I know. We can't complicate this, not with everything else happening. I know. The boys need us stable, united, not distracted by, I know. He kissed her again. But I'm still going to try, every day, until you tell me to stop. What if I never tell you to stop? Then I guess I'll be trying forever. Tanya laughed despite herself. You're impossible. You're amazing. Stop. Never. They stood there, hands wet with dishwater, hearts full of possibility, the future uncertain but less terrifying than before. Because they were facing it together, finally. But across town, Richard Westfield was making his own plans. He'd watched the interview, watched public opinion shift, watched his carefully built case crumble, and he wasn't done yet, not by a long shot. He made a call. Brenda, change of plans, we're going harder, deeper, we're going to destroy them both, and I don't care what it takes. The attack came Thursday morning, not with warning, not with mercy, just brutal and complete. Tanya woke to her phone exploding. Hundreds of notifications, messages from numbers she didn't recognize, emails flooding her inbox, social media mentions in the thousands. She opened the first link. Her hand started shaking immediately. Exclusive Marco Reynolds' baby mama's dark past, criminal record, drug use, and more. The article was detailed. Vicious. Wrong. It claimed Tanya had been arrested for shoplifting at 19. False. It said she'd failed multiple drug tests while pregnant. False. It said she'd been investigated for welfare fraud. False. It said Marco's family had paid her off to disappear, which was why she never contacted him. False, false, false. Every single word was a lie. But the documents looked real. Police reports, drug test results, court filings, all fake but professional, convincing. Her phone rang. Marco. Don't look at it, he said immediately. Whatever you do, don't. I already did. Tanya, it's all lies. Fabricated. Patricia is already working on... They made fake police reports, Marco. Fake drug tests. Who does that? Someone desperate. His voice was tight with rage. Someone who knows they're losing. This will destroy me. The school will see it. The boys' teachers, other parents, everyone. We'll fix it. We'll sue. We'll... Her call waiting beeped. The school. Marco, I have to go. It's Jefferson Elementary. She switched calls. Hello? Ms. Williams, this is Principal Morrison. I need you to come to the school immediately. Tanya's heart stopped. Why? What happened? There's been an incident involving your sons. Please come now. She was in her car in 30 seconds, drove 15 minutes in 8, ran into the principal's office. All 3 boys sat on a bench. Elijah had a bloody nose. Noah had a torn shirt. Caleb was crying. What happened? Tanya dropped to her knees in front of them. Who did this, Ms. Williams? Principal Morrison was a stern woman in her 50s. Gray hair pulled tight, lips pressed thin. Your sons were involved in a physical altercation during recess. Someone hit Elijah first, Noah said. We were just defending him. That's not what other students reported. Morrison pulled out her tablet. They say your boys started it, got aggressive when other children mentioned articles they'd seen online. What articles? Morrison turned the screen. The fake article about Tanya's supposed criminal past. This is defamation, Tanya said. Every word is a lie. We're suing. That may be, but the children don't know that. They only know what they read, and when they asked your sons about it, things escalated. They called Mom a criminal, Elijah said. His voice shook. Called her a druggie. Said we were probably on drugs too. I told them to shut up. Marcus pushed me, so I pushed back. And then everyone started fighting, Noah added. Morrison sighed. Ms. Williams, I understand your family is going through difficulties, but I can't have fighting on my playground. I'm suspending all 3 boys for 2 days. You're suspending them for defending their mother. I'm suspending them for fighting. The reason doesn't matter. The reason absolutely matters. Tanya stood. My children are being bullied because someone is spreading lies about me. Instead of protecting them, you're punishing them. I'm following school policy. 2-day suspension. Starting now. Please take them home. Tanya wanted to argue, wanted to scream, but her boys were watching, waiting. She wouldn't fall apart in front of them. Come on, boys, let's go. In the car, she called Marco, told him everything. He was silent for a long moment. I'm pulling them out, he said finally. What? Out of that school? They're not going back there. Marco, you can't just... Watch me, I'll hire tutors, private teachers, whatever they need, but they're not going back to a place that punishes them for being victims. That's not how this works. They need structure, routine, friends. They need safety, and that school isn't safe. His voice was steel. I'm their father. I'm making this decision. Tanya wanted to argue, but she was tired. So tired. Okay, we'll figure something out. She took the boys home, made them lunch, cleaned Elijah's nose, found Noah a new shirt, held Caleb until he stopped crying. Is this our fault? Elijah asked quietly. All the bad stuff happening. No, baby, none of this is your fault. But if we didn't exist, people wouldn't be saying mean things about you. Tanya grabbed his face, made him look at her. You listen to me, all 3 of you. You are the best thing that ever happened to me, the only good thing. And I would go through all of this 1,000 times if it meant having you. Do you understand? Yes, Mom. But she could see the doubt in their eyes, the guilt. 8-year-old boys shouldn't feel guilty for existing. That afternoon, Patricia called. We have a problem, a big one. What now? Richard Westfield filed a lawsuit against you personally, claiming you intentionally hid Marco's children to later use them for financial gain. He's suing for fraud on behalf of the company's shareholders. That's insane. I didn't even know Marco owned the company until a week ago. I know, it's a garbage lawsuit, but it's public record now, which means more headlines, more ammunition for your enemies. Can we countersue? We are. For defamation, harassment, intentional infliction of emotional distress. But lawsuits take time. Months, maybe years. I don't have years. I barely have days. I know, but Tanya, there's something else. Tekanin. The way Patricia said it made Tanya's stomach drop. What? Someone filed an emergency custody petition, claiming you're an unfit mother, claiming the children should be removed from your care, pending investigation. The room spun. Who filed it? It's anonymous, filed through a family advocacy group, but we both know who's behind it. Can they do that? Can they actually take my boys? There'll be a hearing. Judge will review evidence, interview the children, make a determination. When? Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Tanya couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Tomorrow. They wanted to take her children tomorrow. What do? You show up. You tell the truth. You bring character witnesses, teachers, neighbors, anyone who can testify to your fitness as a parent. Patricia paused. And Tanya, you need to prepare the boys, in case the judge wants to talk to them. I can't. I can't tell them someone's trying to take them away from me. You have to. They need to be ready. Tanya hung up, sat on the couch, stared at the wall. This couldn't be happening. After everything, after fighting so hard for so long, someone was trying to take her on her babies. Marco arrived an hour later. She'd called him crying, barely coherent. He came immediately. We'll fight this, he said. Held her while she fell apart. We'll win. How they have fake evidence, fake documents, money, power. What do I have? The truth, and 3 boys who love you more than anything. Marco pulled back, looked at her. And you have me. I'm not letting anyone take our sons. What if the judge sides with them? What if they decide I'm unfit because I'm poor? Then I'll appeal. I'll take it to every court in the country if I have to. Marco, no, listen to me. You're the best mother I've ever seen. You sacrificed everything for those boys. You worked yourself sick. You never quit. You never gave up. And no judge who sees that will think you're unfit. You don't know that. Yes, I do, because I watched you. I saw how you held them at the dealership, how you protected them even when you were being humiliated, how you stayed strong when everything was falling apart. His voice cracked. You're a warrior, Tanya, and warriors don't lose their children. She wanted to believe him, needed to believe him, but fear was stronger than hope. That night she sat the boys down, tried to explain, tried to prepare them. Tomorrow we have to go to court, she said carefully. Some people are saying I'm not a good mom, that you boys would be better somewhere else. That's stupid, Elijah said immediately. You're the best mom. I know, baby, but they don't know that. So tomorrow a judge might ask you questions about me, about our life, about if you feel safe and loved. What do we say? Noah asked. The truth. Just tell the truth. Tell them how much I love you, how hard I work, how we're a family. Caleb climbed into her lap. Are they going to take us away? Tanya's heart cracked. I'm going to fight with everything I have to make sure that doesn't happen. But what if you lose? Then Daddy will fight, and we'll keep fighting until we win. Marco had stayed for this conversation. Now he knelt beside them. Nobody's taking you anywhere, I promise. You can't promise that, Elijah said quietly. Adults can't promise things when other adults are in charge. The wisdom in that statement hurt. Her 8-year-old son understood more about powerlessness than any child should. You're right, Marco said. I can't promise, but I can promise I'll never stop fighting, never stop trying, never stop being your dad. Even if we don't live with Mom anymore. You're going to live with your mom, but even if something crazy happened, even if the world turned upside down, I'd still be your dad. That doesn't change. Friday morning came too fast. Tanya dressed the boys in their nicest clothes. Church clothes. 2 small dress shirts and pants that were a little short, but clean, pressed, respectable. Marco picked them up at 8, drove them to the courthouse. Patricia met them outside. Okay, here's what's going to happen. The judge will hear arguments from both sides. She may ask to speak with the children privately. If she does, don't panic. Just let them tell the truth. Who's arguing against me? Tanya asked. A lawyer named David Chen, hired by the advocacy group, but we all know Richard Westfield is funding it. They walked inside, through metal detectors, up to the 3rd floor, family court, courtroom C. Inside, David Chen was already there. 50-something, expensive suit, cold eyes. Beside him sat Brenda Harrington. Tanya's blood ran cold. What is she doing here? She's their star witness, Patricia muttered. Claims she observed your parenting firsthand at the dealership. She humiliated my children. I know. We'll cross-examine, tear her apart. Just stay calm. The judge entered. Honorable Margaret Foster, African-American woman in her 60s. Kind face but stern eyes. She'd seen everything, heard every excuse. Case number 2025 FC 8847, emergency custody petition regarding minors Elijah Noah and Caleb Williams. Judge Foster looked at the lawyers. Mr. Chen, you filed the petition. Proceed. Chen stood. Your Honor, we're here today because 3 children are at risk. Their mother, Tanya Williams, has demonstrated a pattern of poor judgment, unstable living conditions, and recently exposure to media scrutiny that has resulted in the children being bullied at school and suspended. Objection, Patricia said. The children were suspended for defending their mother against bullying, not for causing problems. Noted, Judge Foster said. Continue, Mr. Chen. Your Honor, we have evidence that Ms. Williams has a criminal history, drug use, welfare fraud. She deliberately hid these children from their father for 8 years in order to later extort money from him. Objection, Patricia stood. These allegations are completely fabricated. We have evidence that these documents were forged. Then we'll examine that evidence. But the fact remains, these children are living in substandard housing with a mother who works long hours and has minimal supervision for them. Judge Foster looked at Tanya. Ms. Williams, are you currently employed? Tanya stood. Yes, Your Honor. I work at Reynolds Premier Motors as Director of Customer Relations. And the children's father. I'm their father, Your Honor. Marco stood. Marco Reynolds, CEO of Reynolds Premier Motors. So you're also her employer? Yes. And when did you discover you had children? 8 days ago. Judge Foster made notes. Mr. Chen, call your first witness. I call Brenda Harrington. Brenda took the stand, swore to tell the truth, smiled confidently. Ms. Harrington, how do you know the defendant? I was her supervisor at Reynolds Premier Motors. I witnessed her bring her children to work unsupervised. They were touching expensive inventory running around the showroom. It was completely inappropriate. And what was your assessment of her parenting in that moment? Negligent. She wasn't watching them, wasn't controlling them. They could have been hurt or caused thousands in damages. Patricia stood for cross-examination. Ms. Harrington, isn't it true you were fired for humiliating Ms. Williams and her children? I was fired because Marco Reynolds wanted to protect his girlfriend. His girlfriend? They're not in a relationship. That's what they claim, but he promoted her immediately after discovering the children, gave her a director position despite minimal qualifications. Minimal qualifications. She has a business degree and 3 years customer service experience. A degree she never completed and experience as a janitor. Yet Marco Reynolds, a successful CEO, felt she was qualified. Are you suggesting you know better than him? Brenda's smile faltered. I'm suggesting he's thinking with something other than his business sense. Objection! Patricia's voice was sharp. Witness is making unfounded accusations. Sustained. Judge Foster looked at Brenda. Stick to facts, Ms. Harrington. The fact is, those children were unsupervised and their mother was negligent. The fact is, Patricia said coldly, you screamed at 3 8-year-old boys, told them poor children shouldn't touch real cars, made them cry, and when their mother tried to apologize, you humiliated her in front of the entire staff. Isn't that the real reason you're here? Revenge? I'm here because those children deserve better. Than a mother who works 3 jobs to feed them, who raises them alone with no help, who loves them unconditionally. Patricia leaned forward. You wouldn't know good parenting if it slapped you in the face. That's enough. Judge Foster banged her gavel. Ms. Chen, redirect? Chen shook his head. No further questions. Ms. Williams, I'd like to speak with your children, privately, in my chambers. Tanya's heart stopped. Your Honor. It's standard procedure in custody cases. I need to hear from them directly. Marco squeezed Tanya's hand. They'll be okay. The boys were led to the judge's chambers. Tanya waited in the hallway. Paced, prayed, counted ceiling tiles, anything to stop the panic. 20 minutes felt like 20 hours. Finally, the door opened. Judge Foster emerged. Her expression was unreadable. Back in the courtroom, now. Everyone filed back in. The boys sat beside Tanya. Elijah grabbed her hand. Noah pressed against her side. Caleb climbed into her lap even though he was too big. Judge Foster took her seat, looked at the packed courtroom, at Tanya, at Marco, at the boys. I've reviewed the evidence presented by Mr. Chen. I've examined the documents claiming Ms. Williams has a criminal history and history of drug use. And I've had a conversation with 3 very articulate young men. Tanya couldn't breathe. The documents presented are forgeries, poorly done ones at that. The drug test results show dates that don't exist. The police reports reference precincts that aren't real, and the court filings cite cases that were never heard. Judge Foster's voice was ice. Mr. Chen, who gave you these documents. Chen shifted. I received them from my clients. Who are your clients? Because the advocacy group you claim to represent denies any knowledge of this case. I'm not at liberty. You're at liberty or you're in contempt. Choose. Chen went pale. Richard Westfield and Brenda Harrington hired me privately. The courtroom erupted. Judge Foster banged her gavel. Order, Your Honor. Patricia stood. We move for immediate dismissal and request criminal charges be filed against Mr. Westfield and Ms. Harrington for fraud, perjury, and child endangerment. Noted and granted. Judge Foster turned to Tanya. Ms. Williams, your children told me something in my chambers, something I think this courtroom needs to hear. Boys, would you be willing to repeat what you told me? Elijah stood up, walked to the witness stand without being asked. The bailiff looked at the judge. She nodded. Go ahead, young man. Elijah's voice was small but steady. My mom works really hard. She has 2 jobs, sometimes 3. She makes us breakfast even when she's tired. She helps with homework even when she doesn't understand it. She never misses our school plays even when she has to work. She makes us feel safe even when things are scary. Noah stood next, joined his brother. Mom cries sometimes when she thinks we're asleep because she worries about money, about food, about if we have enough, but she never lets us see her scared. She's always strong for us. Caleb was last, climbed up on the stand between his brothers. We didn't have a dad for a long time, but we had Mom, and that was enough. Mom is always enough. Tanya was sobbing. Marco was crying. Even Patricia wiped her eyes. Judge Foster's voice was thick. Thank you, boys. You can sit down. They climbed down, ran to Tanya, held her tight. Based on the testimony I've heard today, both from these remarkable children and from my own observations, I'm dismissing this petition entirely. Miss Williams is clearly a devoted, capable mother. These children are loved, cared for, and thriving under her care. Your Honor, Chen tried. I'm not finished. Judge Foster's eyes were steel. I'm also ordering an investigation into Richard Westfield and Brenda Harrington for fraud and filing false reports. And Mr. Chen, I'm referring you to the Bar Association for ethics violations. Using forged documents in my courtroom, you should be ashamed. She banged the gavel. Case dismissed. Miss Williams, your children are staying with you where they belong. The courtroom exploded with noise. Reporters shouted questions. Cameras flashed. But Tanya didn't hear any of it. She held her boys, held them so tight, whispered thank you over and over. Marco wrapped his arms around all of them. It's over. We won. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Cameras everywhere. Microphones in their faces. Ms. Williams, how do you feel? What do you want to say to the people who attacked you? Are you suing Richard Westfield? Patricia stepped forward. My clients have no comment at this time. Please respect their privacy. But Tanya stopped, turned to face the cameras. Marco tried to pull her back, but she shook her head. I want to say something. The crowd went silent. To every single mother out there who's scared, who's struggling, who's been told she's not enough, you are enough. Your love is enough. Don't let anyone tell you different. Tanya's voice was strong, clear. And to the people who tried to destroy my family, you failed. Because love is stronger than hate, truth is stronger than lies, and family is stronger than anything you can throw at us. She took her son's hands, walked through the crowd, head high, unbroken. Behind her, Richard Westfield watched from his car, face red with rage. Brenda sat beside him, equally furious. This isn't over, Richard said. Yes, it is. A voice came from behind them. They turned. Police officers. 4 of them. Richard Westfield and Brenda Harrington, you're under arrest for fraud, perjury, and conspiracy. You have the right to remain silent. Richard's world collapsed as handcuffs clicked around his wrists. Reporters caught every moment, every flash, every second of his downfall. That night, Marco took Tanya and the boys to dinner. A real restaurant. Not fancy, just a family place with good burgers and better company. The boys laughed, told jokes, acted like kids again. The weight lifted, the fear gone. Mom, Caleb asked, are we safe now? Yes, baby, we're safe. Forever. Tanya looked at Marco, at this man who'd fought for them, stood by them, loved them without hesitation. Forever, she said, and meant it. 3 months later, winter had settled over Boston like a blanket. But inside Reynolds Premier Motors, everything felt different. Warmer, brighter, real. Tanya sat at her desk reviewing customer feedback reports. Her desk, her office, her career, the words still felt foreign sometimes, like borrowed clothes that didn't quite fit. But she was learning, growing, becoming the professional she'd always dreamed of being. A knock on her door. Jennifer from finance poked her head in. Tanya, there's a woman here asking for you. Says she saw your interview, wants to talk about her son. Send her in. The woman who entered was maybe 40, tired eyes, worn hands, a look Tanya recognized instantly, the look of someone barely surviving. Ms. Williams, I'm Sharon Torres. I have a 12-year-old son. His father left when he was born. I've been raising him alone, working 2 jobs, barely making it. Sharon's voice cracked. I saw what you went through, how you fought, and I thought maybe you could tell me how you did it, how you survived. Tanya stood, walked around her desk, sat beside Sharon instead of across from her. You're already surviving. You're already doing it. But I'm drowning, every day. Bills, food, rent, it never stops. I know, God, I know. Tanya took Sharon's hand. But you're here. You're asking for help. That takes more strength than you realize. I don't feel strong. I feel like I'm failing. You're not failing. The system is failing you, but we can help. Reynolds Premier has resources now. Let me get you connected. Tanya spent the next hour helping Sharon, making calls, finding assistance programs, connecting her with job opportunities, giving her hope. After Sharon left, Marco appeared in the doorway. You're good at this. At what? Helping people, understanding them. That's the 5th person this week who came because they saw the interview and wanted your help. They're coming because they're desperate, because they recognize their own struggle in mine. Exactly, which is why I have a proposal. Marco sat down. I want to start a foundation for single parents, Scholarships, childcare assistance, job training, housing support, everything you needed but couldn't find. Tanya's breath caught. Marco, that's huge. I know, and I want you to run it. What? You understand what these families need because you lived it. You know what works and what doesn't. You're the perfect person to lead this. I'm not qualified to run a foundation. I barely know how to run this department. You're learning fast, and you care. That's more important than any credential. Marco leaned forward. Think about it. We could help thousands of families. Give them the support you never had. Make sure no one has to choose between feeding their kids and keeping the heat on. Tanya's eyes filled with tears. When I was pregnant, when I was so scared and alone, I used to pray. Not for money, not for luxury, just for someone to tell me it would be okay. That I could do this. That my boys would have good lives even without their father. She looked at Marco. Now we can be that someone for other parents. Is that a yes? That's absolutely a yes. They spent the next month planning. The Reynolds Family Foundation, dedicated to supporting single parents and underprivileged children. Marco provided the funding. Tanya provided the vision. Together they built something beautiful. The board meeting where Marco announced the foundation was tense. 3 members had resigned after Richard's arrest. 2 new ones had been appointed. The energy was different. Uncertain. Gentlemen, Marco began, Reynolds Premier Motors has always been about luxury, about excellence, about serving the wealthy, but I'm proposing we expand our mission, that we serve our community, all of it. Gerald Chen spoke first. What does that look like practically? It means we use our profits to fund a foundation that helps families in crisis. It means we open our doors once a month for community events where children from any background can sit in our cars, touch them, dream about them, without shame. Marco's voice was passionate. It means we remember that luxury isn't just about money, it's about humanity. Another board member frowned. You want to turn our dealership into a charity. I want to turn our dealership into something meaningful. We'll still sell cars, still make profits, but we'll also change lives. And if it hurts our brand, then we never had a brand worth protecting. Marco looked each person in the eye. I'm not asking permission. I'm informing you of my decision as majority owner. This foundation is happening. You can support it or leave. Your choice. Silence. Then Gerald smiled. I think it's brilliant. About time we did something that mattered. One by one, the others agreed. Not everyone was happy, but everyone voted yes. After the meeting, Marco found Tanya in her office. It's official. The foundation is funded. We start operations next month. I can't believe this is real. Believe it, because you're going to change lives, Tanya, just like you changed mine. She looked at him. This man who'd become her partner, her friend, maybe more. They hadn't defined it, hadn't rushed, but something was growing between them, something real. Have dinner with me tonight, Marco said. Not as business partners, not as co-parents, just as us. The boys are spending the evening with my parents, first time meeting their grandparents. It's all arranged. Tanya's heart raced. Your parents know about them. They've known since the beginning. They wanted to meet them sooner, but I wanted to make sure everything was stable first. They're good people, Tanya. They'll love the boys, and they want to know you. What if they hate me, think I'm after your money? They won't. My mother cried when I told her about you, about how you raised 3 boys alone, about how strong you are. She's been begging to meet you. That evening, Tanya wore her nicest dress, the one she'd bought for the interview, did her makeup 3 times, straightened her hair, changed her jewelry twice. When Marco picked her up, his eyes went wide. Wow, Didi, too much on perfect. You're perfect. The restaurant was intimate, candlelit, romantic, very different from their usual pizza and chaos dinners with 3 energetic boys. This feels weird, Tanya said, laughing nervously, like we're strangers on a first date. We kind of are. We spent one night together 9 years ago. Then we became parents. We skipped all the dating parts. The getting to know you conversations. The awkward silences. Marco smiled. The wondering if we'll kiss at the end. Are we wondering that? I've been wondering that for 3 months. Tanya's breath caught. Marco. I know, we're complicated. We have 3 kids, history, baggage. But Tanya, I've fallen for you, not just as the mother of my children, as you, the warrior who doesn't quit, the woman who makes me laugh, the person who makes me want to be better. I'm scared. Me too. What if we try this and it doesn't work? What if we mess things up for the boys? What if we try and it's amazing? What if we give them the family they've been dreaming about? Marco reached across the table, took her hand. I'm not saying we rush into anything. I'm just saying let's try, really try. Not just co-parenting, not just friendship, but actually see where this goes. Tanya looked at their hands, intertwined. Right. Okay, let's try. The kiss at the end of the night was soft, sweet, full of promise. Not like 9 years ago when everything was desperate and rushed. This was careful, intentional, real. I should go, Tanya whispered. The boys are staying at my parents' tonight. I arranged it, if you're comfortable. You planned this. I hoped for it. Tanya laughed. You're very presumptuous, Mr. Reynolds. Is it working? Maybe. They went to his apartment. Not for what happened 9 years ago, just to talk. To sit on his couch and really know each other. She told him about her childhood, her dreams, her fears. He told her about growing up wealthy but lonely, about the pressure to succeed, about how finding her and the boys had given him purpose. At 2 a.m. she fell asleep on his chest. He pulled a blanket over them, held her close, felt like maybe finally everything was falling into place. The foundation launched in December. The Reynolds Family Foundation. The first event was at the dealership. Doors open to the public. Children from shelters, low-income housing, foster care, all invited to explore luxury cars, to sit in driver's seats, to dream. Tanya watched a little girl climb into a Mercedes, eyes wide with wonder. The same wonder her boys had that night in the showroom, the night that changed everything. This is what it's about, she said to Marco. This moment, this joy. You did this. This was your vision. We did this, together. The local news covered it. But this time the story was different. Positive. Inspiring. The headlines read, From janitor to director, single mom creates foundation to help families in need. Letters poured in, hundreds of them, from single parents, from struggling families, from people who saw themselves in Tanya's story and found hope. One letter made her cry, from a woman in Texas who'd given up, who'd been ready to surrender custody of her children because she couldn't provide for them, who saw the interview and decided to try one more day, then another, who was now 6 months into rebuilding her life. You saved my family, the letter said, by showing me I wasn't alone, by proving single mothers can survive, can thrive, can win. Thank you. Tanya framed that letter, hung it in her office, read it on hard days when doubt crept in. Christmas approached fast. Marco had a surprise. He'd bought a house. 3 houses down from his own. Renovated it completely. Turned it into a home perfect for 3 growing boys. I'm not giving it to you, he said when he showed Tanya. I'm selling it to you for $1, so you own it, so it's yours, so no one can ever say you're dependent on me. Tanya walked through the house. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a backyard, a tree house being built. It was everything she'd dreamed of but never thought possible. The boys don't know yet, Marco said. I wanted you to see it first, to make sure it's okay. It's more than okay, it's perfect. She turned to him, tears streaming. But Marco, this is too much. I can't. You can, and you will, because our sons deserve a real home, and so do you. He wrapped his arms around her. Let me do this, please. $1, $1, and you pay property taxes, and maintenance, and everything else, but the house is yours, your name on the deed, your independence protected. Why do you always know exactly what I need? Because I pay attention, because I love you. The words hung in the air. He'd said them, out loud, no taking them back. You love me, Tanya whispered. I've loved you since that first night 9 years ago. I've loved the idea of you, the memory of you, and now that I really know you, I love you even more, the real you, the stubborn, fierce, incredible you. I love you too, I think I always have. They kissed in the empty house that would become their son's home. Kissed like teenagers, like people discovering something new and precious. When they told the boys about the house, all 3 cried. Happy tears, excited tears. Elijah asked 17 questions about the tree house. Noah wanted to know if he could paint his room blue. Caleb asked if this meant they were rich now. No, baby, Tanya said. It means we're blessed. There's a difference. They moved in a week before Christmas. Marco's parents helped. His mother, Elena, had indeed fallen in love with the boys immediately, had cried meeting them. The had told Tanya she was grateful someone as strong as her had raised her grandsons. "I have 3 beautiful grandbabies," Elena said, holding each boy tight, "and a daughter I didn't know I was missing." Marco's father, Robert, was quieter, more reserved, but Tanya caught him watching the boys with wet eyes, caught him telling Marco he was proud, that he'd done the right thing, that family came first. Christmas Eve arrived with snow, real snow, the kind that made everything look magical. The boys were outside with Marco building a snowman when Tanya stepped onto the back porch with hot chocolate. She watched them laugh, throw snowballs, act like kids should act. Marco caught her watching, waved her down. "Come on, we're building an army of snowmen." Obviously, how else do you protect a kingdom? She joined them, let herself play, let herself be young, let herself enjoy this moment of peace after so much chaos. As the sun set painting the snow pink and gold, they went inside, built a fire, made dinner together, spaghetti and meatballs. The boys helped, made a mess, laughed when sauce splattered everywhere. After dinner, they decorated the tree. A real tree Marco had insisted on getting. It shed needles everywhere, but smelled like Christmas and childhood and home. "Mom," Caleb asked as he hung an ornament, "are we normal now?" "What do you mean, baby?" "Like other families, with a mom and a dad and a house. Are we normal?" Tanya knelt beside him. "We were always normal. Families come in all shapes, but yes, now we have Daddy here too. Does that feel good?" "It feels perfect." That night after the boys were asleep, Marco and Tanya stood by the window, watching snowfall, watching the treehouse take shape in the backyard, watching their life unfold. "You know what I realized," Tanya said softly. "That night at the dealership when Brenda said poor children shouldn't touch real cars, she was wrong about everything. My boys weren't poor. They were rich with love. They were wealthy in ways she'll never understand. And now they're still rich with love, but they also have stability, security, a father, a future." She leaned into Marco. "Some people measure success by what they own, how much money they make, what cars they drive." "But we found something far more valuable," Marco finished. "A second chance to be the family we were always meant to be." They stood there in comfortable silence. 2 people who'd lost each other, found each other, built something beautiful from the wreckage. The next morning, Christmas morning, the boys woke at dawn, thundered down the stairs, gasped at the presents under the tree. But it wasn't the gifts that made them cry. It was the card Marco had left, addressed to all 3 boys. They opened it together. Inside a letter. "Dear Elijah, Noah, and Caleb, 8 years ago I didn't know you existed, but every day since I found out I've thanked God for you. You taught me what strength looks like, what love means, what family is supposed to be. I missed your first steps, your first words, your first days of school, but I promise I'll be there for everything else, every soccer game, every school play, every nightmare and triumph. I'm your dad forever, and I'm so proud to be. Love, Dad. P.S. Check the backyard." They ran to the window. The treehouse was finished. Lights strung up. A sign over the door, "Reynolds Kingdom, Elijah, Noah, and Caleb." The boys ran outside in their pajamas, climbed the ladder, explored their castle, shouted with joy. Tanya and Marco watched from the porch, arms around each other, hearts full. "We did it," Tanya whispered. "We actually did it." "You did it. You raised 3 incredible boys alone. I just showed up at the end." "You showed up exactly when we needed you." Marco kissed her forehead. "What's next for us? Next?" Tanya laughed. "Next we live. We work. We raise our boys. We run the foundation. We help other families. We just live. Sounds perfect?" And it was. Not perfect in the fairy tale way. They still had challenges, hard days, moments of doubt, but they faced everything together. Tanya thrived at the foundation. Over the next year, they helped over 300 families, provided scholarships, childcare, job training, hope. She hired other single parents, gave them careers, created a community of survivors who understood each other. Marco rebuilt the company culture, promoted from within, created pathways for employees like Tanya, who had potential but no opportunity. Reynolds Premier Motors became known not just for luxury cars, but for how they treated their people. The boys started at a new school, a better school, one where being Marco Reynolds' sons didn't matter as much as being good kids. They made friends, joined teams, thrived. And Tanya and Marco, they dated. Really dated. Took their time. Built something solid before rushing into marriage. They wanted to do it right, for themselves, for their boys. On the 1-year anniversary of that night in the showroom, Marco took Tanya back there, late at night, after everyone had gone home. "This is where everything changed," he said, leading her to the red Ferrari, the same one the boys had touched. "This is where Brenda tried to destroy us. But she couldn't, because we're stronger than hate." Marco knelt down, pulled out a small box. "Tanya Williams, you're the bravest person I've ever met. You're an incredible mother, an amazing partner, my best friend. Would you marry me?" Tanya's hands flew to her mouth. Tears spilled instantly. "Yes, God, yes." The ring was beautiful, simple, perfect. But more important than the ring was the promise, the commitment, the choice to build a life together. They told the boys that night. All three cheered, jumped, celebrated, asked if they could be in the wedding, if they could wear suits, if they could give Mom away. "How about," Marco suggested, "you all walk with me to meet Mom at the altar because we're all choosing this, all becoming a family officially." "That's perfect," Elijah said. The wedding was small, intimate, just family and close friends. Elena cried through the whole ceremony. Robert gave a toast about second chances and redemption. The boys stood with Marco, all 4 of them waiting for Tanya. When she walked down the aisle, she wasn't given away by anyone. She walked herself. Independent. Strong. Choosing this life. Choosing this man. Choosing this family. The vows were simple. Honest. Tanya promised to love Marco through good days and hard ones. To be his partner, his equal, his wife. Marco promised to honor her strength. Respect her independence. Be the father their sons deserved. Be the husband she never thought she'd have. When they kissed, the boys cheered, the guests clapped, and Tanya felt something shift inside her, the last piece of armor falling away, the last bit of fear releasing. She was safe. Loved. Home. The reception was in the backyard of their house. Tents and lights and music. Dancing under stars. The boys ran wild with their cousins. Elena and Robert held court, telling anyone who'd listen about their brilliant grandsons. Tanya found a quiet moment alone, stood by the tree house, looked at everything they'd built. Sharon Torres appeared beside her, the woman from months ago. "Ms. Reynolds, I wanted to thank you. It's still Williams, and please call me Tanya." "Tanya, then. The foundation changed my life. The job training program, the child care assistance. I have a real job now. My son is thriving. We're in stable housing. Because of you. Because you didn't give up. Because you showed me I didn't have to. That single mothers can win." Sharon hugged her. "Thank you for fighting, for surviving, for showing the rest of us how." After Sharon left, Marco found Tanya. "You okay?" "Better than okay. I'm thinking about that night, in the showroom, when Brenda said poor children shouldn't touch real cars. What about it? She was trying to shame us, to make us feel less than, to put us in our place." Tanya turned to Marco. "But she gave us a gift. She pushed you to see us, to claim us, to fight for us. If she'd been kind, maybe you would have walked away. Maybe we never would have had this. I never would have walked away from my sons. You didn't know they were your sons until you defended them, until you got close enough to see their eyes." Tanya smiled. "So in a weird way, Brenda's cruelty saved us. It brought us together. It made us fight. It created this. I never thought about it that way. Sometimes the worst moments lead to the best things. Sometimes you have to go through hell to find heaven. And this is heaven." Tanya looked at their boys, playing in the treehouse, laughing, safe, loved. She looked at Marco, her husband, her partner, the man who'd claimed his children without hesitation, who'd fought for her, who'd loved her through everything. "Yes," she said, "this is definitely heaven." Years passed. The boys grew, became teenagers, then young adults. Each one different. Each one brilliant. Elijah became a doctor. Noah a teacher. Caleb an artist. They all remembered where they came from, remembered their mother's strength, remembered the night their father found them. And they all gave back, volunteered with the foundation, mentored kids from single-parent homes, told their story to anyone who needed hope. The Reynolds Family Foundation grew, expanded to 12 cities, helped thousands of families, won national awards. But Tanya never forgot the mission, never forgot why she started. Every family helped was a family that wouldn't have to suffer like she did. Marco and Tanya grew old together, gray hair and laugh lines, grandchildren who climbed the same treehouse their fathers had. Stories told around fires about the night everything changed, and sometimes late at night they'd drive to the dealership, stand in the showroom where it all began. Remember that red Ferrari? Remember 3 little boys with wonder in their eyes? Remember a cruel woman's words that accidentally brought them together? Do you have any regrets? Marco asked once, holding her hand in the empty showroom. Not one. I'd go through it all again. Every hard moment, every scary night, every tear, because it led me here. Led us here. Me too. They stood in the silence. 2 people who'd found each other twice, lost each other once, built something beautiful from broken pieces, and somewhere in a house filled with light and love and laughter, 3 boys who'd once been told they shouldn't touch real cars were living proof that poor children can touch anything, become anything, achieve anything, because they were loved. And love, Tanya had learned, was the greatest wealth of all.